Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Eugene. Hello, Zoom friends. I am so grateful that you are all here. My name is Heidi Gould. My pronouns are she, her. I'm wearing gray pants, a green blouse with a green and purple stole with short silver hair and glasses. And I am this morning's worship associate. And I'm going to go off script for just a second and say to all the volunteers of this congregation for which knowing what needs to be done and gets it done is second nature to them, I appreciate you. I am so grateful. Thank you. Is anyone here for the first time today? Anyone? Oh, welcome, welcome. Hi. Thank you for coming. If you're new to UUCE, I hope you got a copy of the handy guide to a Sunday morning worship. If not, you can raise your hand again, and our greeter will bring one to you. Cool. Yep, keep your hands up. And now, let us enter into a time of worship by lighting our flaming chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. If Silas would be so kind as to join us and light the chalice. Thank you. While I read these words from Paul Stephen Dudnoff. For this 1 hour, Spirit of life, we let go. For this 1 hour, may we let go of our anxieties, our fears, our anger, our self-doubts, our regrets, our petty grievances, and our distractions. If only for this 1 hour, let the flame of this chalice burn them from our hearts and minds and light our way to peace and serenity for this one holy hour. And now let's say together the words of our mission, which affirm our shared purpose. Empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve our world. Blessed be.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Jen Youngsun, and I serve this lovely congregation as its minister. I use she, her pronouns, and for those who would benefit from a visual description, I am on the short-ish side. I've got shoulder-length salt and pepper hair. I'm wearing browns and maroons and purples today. And my glasses don't seem to be working very well, so all of you are very blurry today. So I'm just wondering how you are. Tell me, no, really, for real, how are you? Are you good? You're well? You're better? Okay. I just want to check. I just want to check to see how you're doing. What did you say? You're anxious. Yeah, there's still that unease, right, in the air. These days are full of unrest, nights of little sleep, maybe nights of too much sleep. There's definitely distress and dis-ease in the air. I mean, we've been through a lot these last couple of weeks. We've been through a lot of different feelings. We've processed a lot of different reactions. A lot of us are still grieving. A lot of us are anxious and angry. And we also know that those heightened senses, those heightened feelings are not sustainable and they're not good for us. We need one another more than ever now. We need the warmth of gatherings like this one on Sunday morning and the one that we had on Thursday on Thanksgiving Day, where people gathered for the warmth of the food and the delight of the company. We need steady patterns of holy days and holiday traditions like this evening's winter spiral, Saturday's bazaar, the children's pageant that's coming up, the choir concert, caroling, solstice, Christmas Eve, burning bowl. We need steady gatherings like that. We need one another. During the regular church year, we always have a different theme for the month. And that theme often answers a particular question. This year's question is, what are the actual grounding practices that will help us to live a life centered in love? And this month's answer is the practice of presence. The practice of presence. It's not quite as straightforward as the practice of walking meditation or the practice of lectio divina, which is like divine reading. Practicing presence invites us not only to feel our own powerful presence in the world, but also to understand how our presence can affect other people. Practicing presence also invites us to tune in to the presence of the holy, the divine, the ancestors, because we need one another more than ever before. We need to gather everyone and everything that is moving toward the light of love. All of us need to gather together. And we also need to remember that the ongoing practice of presence involves truth-telling, beauty, brave actions, and generous deeds. Telling the truth about who we are and how we're doing, like really, truly how we're doing. Telling the truth about what we really need, really, really need, and what we really, really want. Seeking after beauty in the mundane and in the spectacular. Taking actions that may look simple, but you know in your heart that it was the bravest thing that you have done in months. And finally, we can practice presence with a plethora of generous deeds. Come, let us enter into the presence to find out what might be helpful during this peculiar season in the dark of winter. Come, let us worship together. Today is the first day of December. It is also the first Sunday in Advent already. I forgot to bring out the Advent candle this morning because it came really quick. But I do have a candle here that I will light, and then next week we'll have the actual Advent wreath out for us. We light this candle, the first candle of the winter season, for hope. Hope can be both a shield and it can be a path. In these days of your life, do you need a shield? Do you need a path? Maybe you need both. It's always lovely to take time to hear one another, to listen to our stories, to share in the grief, to share in the celebrations as well. And so for all of these joys and sorrows expressed and those unexpressed remaining in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, we are grateful, for all of this is life. Amen.
Good morning. Needs to be way down for me. A few weeks ago, we sang the song Ancestors' Breath in church, and one of the lines is, "Those who have died never have left us. The dead have a pact with the living." When my sister died 12 years ago, I felt like a piece of me had been taken away. We were close in age and had constant shared experiences growing up. Although we fought a lot, we had a deep connection. When we were little, our mother dressed us alike, and people often thought we were twins. We shared a room, and we played games together when our friends weren't around. We spent a lot of time in the front hallway playing jacks. It was the best place in the house for jacks because it had a tile floor and the ball bounced better. At times it was also very cold because it was by the front door, and this was Wisconsin. It looked like that. But this is one of the best memories. The place was just for us, and that game was just for us. Do you all know what jacks are? I think some young people haven't played it, but it was my game. That place was just for us, and that game was just for us. As adults, we lived very different lives and lived in different places, but there was always a feeling of comfort and solidarity when we were together. We enjoyed some of the same things, like thrift store shopping, doing crafts, putting together jigsaw puzzles, or just walking. We had time to talk during those activities about our parents, our childhood friends, and how we came to be who we were. She was the only one in my original family who really knew me. When she died, I felt sad, of course, but also bewildered and profoundly empty. How could it be that she was dead and I was still here? I thought we would have at least another 20 years of shared experiences. I didn't believe then that those who have died never have left us. I felt very left. I felt left behind. I spent several months feeling like life was not particularly worthwhile if we were just going to die anyway. In her last years, Anne was lonely and discouraged. She had lost a job and stopped seeing people. She was struggling financially and then was diagnosed with cancer. So her death seemed particularly tragic. But I had to remember that she had been a vibrant, creative, and brilliant young woman. So her last years were not all that she was. Over time, I began to feel her presence again, not exactly physically, but in memories and dreams. The dreams were often about her returning alive and healthy. In the dream, she had gone away for some reason, some obscure reason that I never knew, but she had come back. I had been thinking she was dead, but I was mistaken. I don't really believe in an afterlife. I don't think I do anyway. But I believe my dream might be a metaphor for how we keep people alive. They're still around us in some capacity, in our minds, in our hearts, and in who we are. I've come to think that memories and dreams are bound together to preserve the presence of people we have loved. When I look at pictures, touch objects of hers, or read the memory book that friends put together, I can feel her essence and know that her life was worthwhile, and I appreciate how she enriched mine. I can still feel that cold tile floor and the way the jacks felt in my hand as I scooped them up, and I'm grateful for what I had. John O'Donohue was an Irish poet, philosopher, and priest whose books I've been reading lately. He said that eternal time is unbroken presence. He was a theist and had a different perspective than mine about eternal time. But it is comforting to think that we each have a presence in eternal time, an unbroken line that carries us through life and death. Those who have died never have left us. The dead have a pact with the living. The pact may be that the people who have died are living in us by what they brought to our own lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Jane Wagner. And I think Jane probably didn't introduce herself because she figured everybody knows her. Thank you so much for sharing those memories. Lots of people have that experience, right, of feeling like a real presence of their loved one after they've gone. No longer visible, but oh so strongly felt, right? And maybe we need them around us to urge us on when things get rough. Maybe we need them and their presence with us when we feel lonely and lost. But presence is something that we all need, this feeling of someone there with you in your personal space, a very felt presence. It's, you know, there's, on the one hand, there's nothing there, right? We know that there's nothing materially there, and yet there is something there. It's like a thickness in the air, something palpable that you can feel, but you just can't use your normal 5 senses for that. Maybe it's the 6th sense picking that up. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Yeah, yes. You have felt this too? I'm not just making this up, right? Okay, you all have felt this. And maybe it's not a person, but maybe it's kind of a feeling of presence that you get when you're walking deep in the woods. You know, you feel something. You feel the presence of something, someone, and you're not exactly sure what it is, and somehow it lets you know that everything's going to be all right. I've got you. You're okay. Don't be anxious for anything. In these times, we all are reaching for that something. We're all doing it in different ways. Some of us are binge watching TV. Some of us are overeating, that's me. Some of us are reaching for our favorite poets, our favorite authors. I've been listening to a lot of music from the civil rights era. It just feels very inspiring to me these days. What kinds of things are you doing? Are you feeling, are you finding your ground? Are you finding the presence of something bigger than yourselves? Are you connecting to those things? Are you returning to past spiritual practices maybe? Are you doing new spiritual practices? Yes? You're doing some more art? Yep. You're baking? Yes. All of these things are really important to just feel a connection and to have something that we can be grounded in. Okay, so we don't talk a lot about God here generally, but we can talk about religious things like presence. Maybe we feel the presence of our ancestors when we need their encouragement. Maybe it's the presence of something we call the holy that reminds us that there is more to heaven and earth than what our limited brains and our limited minds can really comprehend. Maybe it's the presence of spirit, whatever that is. Some feeling like an embrace, warm, wrapped around you. No words, just a feeling that comes from some deep place of well-being. Everybody is longing for that. Everybody's reaching out for that. It comes in all kinds of different shapes and varieties. One researcher describes felt presence as one of the most unusual experiences known to humankind. The universal, the disturbing feeling that someone or something is here with us, right? It's palpable. We can feel it. Whatever it is, it's something that humans have been longing for since the beginning of time, and we need to feel that so that we feel like we're not alone in our struggles, especially our struggles during bleak times. The practice of presence can be especially powerful this month in December, because until we get together again to celebrate solstice and the return of the light, you and I will be traveling these weeks together further and further into growing darkness. And so let us be attentive to presence and all of its mysterious, wondrous forms that it takes. So speaking of John O'Donohue, I want to guide you into a meditation using some of his poetry. John O'Donohue talked a lot about presence, but he wanted to guide us first into being aware of our own presence. And so enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. Can you feel that right now? Can you feel the quiet immensity of your own presence? Drop into that presence. It's a powerful, powerful act. It's a powerful thing to be able to feel this in a world that is intent on stealing away our attention. This presence is the first and most fundamental power that we possess, and that is the power to feel our own presence. Have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. Receive encouragement when new frontiers beckon. Respond to the call of your gift and the courage to follow its path. Let the flame of anger free you of all falsehood. May warmth of heart keep your presence aflame. May anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. Take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. Be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. And may you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. To be present to oneself is the best way to start this practice. And then we can start practicing the presence of the holy in everyone and in everything around us. Did some of you feel the presence? Your own presence? I hope you did, and I hope that in that feeling you found some kind of ground, some kind of solid place where there is no room for confusion or anxiety, where there is a grounding. In the 1950s, the Reverend A. Powell Davies planted a whole bunch of churches around the DC metro area. He was a prolific writer and an author of many, many theological collections and volumes of prayers, including a collection that included this one prayer, where he suggested that the ongoing practice of presence involves those four things I mentioned earlier. The ongoing practice of presence involves telling the truth, seeking beauty, brave action, and generous deeds. So here is his original prayer. O holy, the quest of all ages, found and lost and sought anew in every generation, may we understand more plainly what it means to seek your presence. We heard that you could come in splendor, cleaving the skies, but we knew this was but a dream. O God, may we amend our seeking, for we ourselves know better now. We have seen you in life's loveliness. We have felt your presence in all brave and generous deeds. We would find you where you are in our common everyday life. And so the holy and the miraculous presence of our ancestors, the miraculous presence of love, is here, right in this room. We don't have to seek it far away. Right here in this community, in this beloved congregation. You know, I find it almost impossible to keep on a regular spiritual practice all by myself. I need your encouragement. I need to be with other people doing that practice. And so I've been really so very, very grateful for our gatherings. These are, in-person gatherings or on Zoom. These are lovely ways to begin healing. It's such a simple, low-tech way of building hope and encouraging love, raising vibrations and tending to that flame. It's a great way for us to reflect the light and share it with each other. Love requires that we not give up on each other. We cannot give up on any one of us. We will not give up on each other, and we will not break faith with each other. And so it matters deeply that we find, when we continue to find low barrier, all-inclusive ways to gather with each other. Ashley Horan from the UUA wrote a letter to the congregations because we're just trying to support one another in any way that we can in all the spaces where we meet and greet each other. And she wrote to us that her family needed to be with other people to feel the embrace of beloved community after all of these wrenching weeks. She writes, as we sang and prayed and laughed and wept together in the sanctuary of old-timers and newcomers and returners and wanderers, elders and babies, I felt in my bones how important this space is for community. And I knew that many other UU congregations across the country were also gathering to make meaning, to hold grief, and to tend hope together. After the elections, I know that some of us are still in that overwhelmed space, overwhelmed by what has happened and what continues to happen. And so it will be very important for you just to tend to yourself and to feel the presence of self. But I know that others are eager and waiting and wanting to start organizing and mobilizing for action. And so after service today, Ember and I will be hosting a listening circle on the topic of post-election action. So what we'd like to do is just gather here and share what we are hearing from our various community partners and all of our connections, and to just talk about what we collectively want to do next. I can tell you that I went to a recent interfaith clergy meeting, and we have some plans to counter the fear and the hate that's out there with some collaborative events to inspire love and hope. And so we're excited to hear from the groups that you're working with, and I hope you can stay this afternoon for that. Woven into the political and the economic and the justice climate that we're living in right now, ordinary life continues to move up and down and up and down, bringing the untimely death of loved ones, the unexpected seasons of maturity, and the birth of a newborn babe. For nothing is fixed in this life, is it? For nothing is fixed, says James Baldwin. Nothing is fixed forever, forever, forever. It is not fixed. The earth is always shifting. The light is always changing. The sea does not cease to grind down the rock. The sea rises. The light fails. Lovers cling to each other, and children cling to us. The moment we cease to hold each other, the moment we break faith with one another, the sea engulfs us and the light goes out. And so let us keep gathering. Let us keep coming together over and over again, moving toward one another, tending to one another with generous deeds, tending to ourselves with truth and beauty and courage, holding each other, never losing faith. Never. May it be so. Amen. Now let's say together the words of our closing, our chalice extinguishing. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now, my friends, go out into this brand new month, this brand new week, this brand new season with a heart open to presence. Lots and lots of presence. Go in peace, my friends.